this. When you hear that sound, you know it's time for baby talk. Now, having a baby is probably the most exciting time in anyone's life, from planning the nursery to buying nappies and toys. However, the cost of having a baby may be higher than you actually realize. Now, today we'll be breaking down the cost and offering a few tips to lower them. To help us to do so is a certified financial planner and father of 10-month-old twin girls, Iain Whitewood. Welcome to it, and congratulations on the journey. You did hear that we're speaking about sleep deprivation, so you might have catched a few tips from Dr. Darren.
Most definitely. I enjoyed the conversation earlier about sleep, most definitely. Not getting too much of it at this point in time, but really enjoying the journey, yeah.
Absolutely.
Let's jump straight into it and talk about the costs of birthing a child for people who have medical aid versus those that don't have medical aid, because it could be vastly and drastically different.
No, I totally agree. Looking at the private medical aid route, it can be really costly, and to the majority of us, it's really confusing. Medical aid benefits in general are quite complex, so first and foremost, I would advise that you have a chat to a medical aid broker to allow you to make an informed decision with regards to the medical aid plan that's best suited to your needs. When speaking about actual costing of medical aid, it can vary a significant amount. It can vary from about R1,000 a month up to 7,000 to 8,000 Rand per the main member. But in my opinion and recent experience, as you recently mentioned, I've got 10-month-old twins.
Well, look at that.
Yeah, they are beautiful. The costs that we experienced when experiencing the birth of our two girls was astronomical. It equated to about 450,000 Rand, because our little ones came 6 weeks early, so they spent about 3 weeks in NICU. So without medical aid, to be brutally honest, I would never, and my wife would never have been able to afford the 450,000 Rand lump sum. So that premium that you pay every month, in my opinion, is really worth it.
And good to probably have it in place way before, if you can, way before you even plan to get pregnant, because a lot of medical aids also, if you were to fall pregnant and then get onto the medical aid, the benefits then differ and the structure differs greatly.
100% correct, spot on. If you only apply to be a medical aid after falling pregnant, so mom falls pregnant and then applies, they usually will accept her, but they'll impose a 12-month waiting period for a pre-existing condition. Then they won't cover any costs associated with the pregnancy and the birth. But it's key to note that your little ones can be added as long as you register them within 30 days. But the key thing is those pre and birth expenses are not going to be covered. So rather pay the monthly premium up front and then do proper planning at the end of the day.
Something I also want to cover, because you obviously have front-hand lined with us and you have two of them, but the day-to-day necessities like the milk, the prams, is there any advice or tips that you have for parents or even for mothers that needs advice with regards to this?
Most definitely. I experienced the past 10 months, I think first and foremost, keep it simple. It's really an emotional time. We were speaking about emotions earlier, but get the necessities, so get some nappies, get some bum cream, etc. But every baby is unique, so don't rush into buying a specific bottle or a type of teat or a type of formula, because your little one could be, for example, lactose intolerant. They could suffer from reflux. Then you're going to have to change between formulas. So the key thing is not rush and be prepared that you might have to try out multiple types of teats. Different formulas until your baby actually is happy with that teat and takes to the teat and is also happy and comfortable with the formula, obviously, if you're going to bottle feed. I've got a great story about nappies. Recently, we came across a totally different brand of nappies. As you can expect, we've got twins at home, so we go through a hell of a lot of nappies every day and every month. Just a change in brand of nappies has saved us at least R1 a nappy. So if you think, I mean, multiply that and you get to an amount per month, we're saving at least 600 to 700 Rand a month just on nappies. So I think the key thing is, yes, we're creatures of habit, but also just keep your ears to the ground, do your research, chat to other moms, chat to other dads, and just make sure you're on top of things at the end of the day.
Now, especially when you have your first child, I think a lot of parents love the idea of getting first-hand things, new toys, new clothes. But let's talk about how one can maybe save a little bit of money by looking at options of second-hand clothes, second-hand toys, versus wanting it out of the box, because it's my first child.
Of course. From our point of view, and from my point of view personally, is that baby grows so quickly. especially in the early formative stages. So you rush out once again, it's an emotional time, you're so excited, you buy a lot of vests, you buy a lot of onesies, but they only end up wearing them once or twice. So what we've noticed is it's created a bit of a market for second-hand clothing, which I think a lot of people need to take a look at, because it's going to save you a hell of a lot of money. And there are a lot of, we're going to touch on it later, a lot of WhatsApp groups. You can make use of social media to pick those sort of things up. And speaking about toys, don't get me wrong, I also love going into a toy shop. You know, you want to buy your little son or your girls the biggest and brightest and most colourful toy out there. But at the end of the day, they're not really interested in those toys. They're interested in 2-litre ice cream containers, you know, little building blocks, my little dog's toys. Exactly. I know everyone tells you, you know, our parents told us, my mom told me, don't buy big fancy toys, they'll play with a box. I promise you, it is true. So pick up second-hand toys. There's shops out there. Like I said, online, you can pick them up. So it's going to save you a significant amount of money.
Yeah. Great advice there from Andrew Iain Whitewood, who's certified financial planner, also father of twin girls. We've seen beautiful pictures of them, and he's going to be sticking around a little bit as we talk about the costs of raising a child and how you can maybe better prepare yourself, and if you are in that situation already, how you can save money.
It's my feel-good breakfast show.
Welcome back. This is your Feel Good Breakfast Show. Hope that tune's got you feeling really good on this Thursday morning. It's baby talk time. Andrew Iain Whitewood is here with us. He's a financial planner. He's also a father of 2 baby girls, twins, 10 months old now. And you've managed the maze of the financial side of raising a child quite well. And that's why we've asked you for your expert advice here. And we've got some questions that have come in from social media.
Awesome.
If we take a look at Tumi Mahlo, saying, this morning, family, my son's doctor once said to me, kids are not expensive. Wow. It is us parents who make things to be expensive. For example, a baby has a rash. We don't take him or her to a clinic, but prefer the doctor. We buy expensive bath soaps. Or the baby, she or he is 9 months old, and we buy expensive shoes, like top brands. So we need to save money instead of buying expensive products for our kids. How much do you agree with that?
Totally agree.
Yeah.
I think we always, in the day and age that we live in, we want our kids to look cool with brand name sneakers, shoes, attire, that sort of thing. Keep it simple. I think we tend to waste a hell of a lot of money, and I totally agree with the comment. Just keep things simple. Don't get emotionally caught up with that. If baby has a rash, don't rush off to the doctor, off to the pediatrician, etc. Get on those WhatsApp groups, ask other moms, tap into their knowledge, experience, because there's lots of people that have been through what moms and dads are going through today.
Another 2 comments that came through. Nombulelo saying, good morning, Team Expresso. My grandmother used to play stokvels. All right, those could be very risky for your financial life in general, but okay. Clarissa says, don't have more. Just kidding. Buy what is needed in bulk. Example, cereals, toiletries, prioritize needs from wants. I think that's what we basically were getting to here in talking about how to save money. But I do think that in a certain extent, you can't generalize that rule, because when it comes to education, for instance, that in itself is an expensive exercise. And I guess a lot of planning needs to go into that as well. But let's quickly backtrack it a bit before we get to that and talk about daycare, because some parents need to get back to work. Some parents can't afford to be stay-at-home moms or dads, and so nannies and daycare centres then come into play. How do you go about looking at these expenses?
So primarily there's 2 options. So you either drop your little ones off at creche, or you get a nanny to come in and work 5 days a week. And it also varies across the country. I'm basing the figures on Cape Town prices. So if you're looking at a nanny, starting out, it's going to cost you at least 5,000 Rand a month for 5 days a week. And it can be more, obviously, if you want your nanny to come also in 6 days a week. Then you've got to look at the creche option, and that can cost in Cape Town, depending also on your area in Cape Town, 2,500 to 3,500 Rand a month per child. And obviously in my situation, I've got 2 children, so you've got to multiply that by 2. So certain aspects of bringing children into this world are very expensive, and you can't get around that. Like you rightly pointed out, moms and dads are both working these days, and we can't afford in this day and age for mom or even dad to stay at home to look after the little ones. We need to both generate income to support the household.
This is giving me anxiety, really, because we're just talking about like the nannies and the backstep. Let's take a look further. Talk tertiary education. How is that going to affect the cost? What are we looking at?
Tertiary education is very costly, and once again, it varies from institution to institution. But if you look at first-year tuition fees for 2020, it can start out at about 20 to 30,000 Rand just for the first year, and it can be as much as 100,000 Rand. That's just for your first year. That's just for the tuition fees. If you're going to a university out of town, for example, that could cost you for res 40 to 50,000 Rand for the year, and that's before you've included any food, living allowance, etc. So, yeah, tertiary education is very costly. So, in my opinion, you've got to start saving as soon as possible because, yeah, you've got 18 years plus minus on your side to save for, and you need to make use of those 18 years.
And this is not even to mention if your child maybe has the opportunity to go to a university overseas, which is becoming a reality because we're living in a global village, so to speak.
Totally
so I guess,
agree.
yeah, saving as early as possible in those long-term investments for the next 18 years. A great way to go about it.
Most definitely. Totally
All said and
agree.
done, and like I think it's good to have this conversation, but I'm also thinking of those mothers or single fathers that can't afford this opportunity to, you know, to save up now already for 18 years' time, you know what I mean? So again, with the WhatsApp groups, I think getting that, you know, just like having that conversation with other people and having that is pretty cool idea as well, yeah.
Absolutely. What about giving some last tips and advice on what to do when you're starting to prepare the financial structure of your family that's about to be added onto? So you have a child that's coming on the way. How do you plan properly, quickly?
One thing that a lot of us don't do is we don't draw up a budget and we don't stick to that budget. And that's in financial planning in general can become very complex and complicated. But when we engage with clients on a day-to-day basis, the one simple thing they don't do is draw up a budget and a detailed budget. Yeah. And when you're bringing a little one or multiples into the world, the first thing I would say is draw up a budget, and it must be detailed. You must also do solid research with regards to how much is your medical aid going to go up? How much will your medical aid cost if mom and the babies go on to medical aid? How much is formula going to cost? How much is nappies going to cost?
Yeah.
It really is, it is simple, but it is vastly and fundamentally important that you start with a sound foundation, being a budget, and work from there. And I think, yeah, just really, plain and simply in summary, just save. Save as much as you can. Like you said, it is difficult, but save, even if it's just 100 Rand here or there. Down the line, along the journey, it most definitely is going to help.
And Andrew, do you have a website? Are you online? Are you on Instagram where people can follow if they're looking for advice?
My online profile, I use LinkedIn. I'm not very active at all on Instagram. So please, no, most definitely not. So no,
LinkedIn?
I drive my professional profile through LinkedIn. So I'm more than happy if people want to pop me an email. I'm more than happy to respond. What I really want to do is just help people because 10 months, the past 10 months have been tough. They have been challenging, but we've reached out to a hell of a lot of people that have helped us, my wife and myself, and I just really like to return the favour.
Excellent. Certified financial planner Andrew Iain Whitewood. Check him out on LinkedIn if you're looking for some extra assistance in terms of planning your finances with regards to family and to children.